Hi, I'm Dr. Marcia Sirota, and today I want to answer a question that somebody asked me. They said, why should I bother being nice? When I'm nice, people think that I'm weak and then they mistreat me. And I wanted to talk to you about this today because I wanted to distinguish nice versus kind. Because certainly when people are too nice, they are perceived as weak because they're trying too hard to please. And that desperation for approval is perceived as weakness. However, we can be kind and be strong because when we practice what I call ruthless compassion, we can be kind-hearted, we can be loving, we can be understanding and thoughtful and supportive without being weak, without being ingratiating, without trying too hard to please. The difference between being nice and being kind is that niceness is all about wanting to make other people happy. It's about pleasing people so that they will give you approval, love, respect. Whereas kindness is simply feeling that sense of oneness and connectedness and empathy for others and giving to them because it feels good to do so and it feels like the right thing. It's coming from a heart filled with love and care and compassion, and it's an overflowing of that love. Now, nice people are so desperate to please that they will put up with a lot of mistreatment and disrespect. Whereas kind people are loving, but they love themselves equally, so they will not put up with disrespect or mistreatment. Kind people practice ruthless compassion, and they have a backbone. So if someone wants to disrespect them or mistreat them or take advantage of them, they will demonstrate that backbone by setting limits and having good boundaries and saying, no, that doesn't work for me, or no, your behavior is unacceptable. I'll give you an example. Years ago, when I was practicing psychotherapy, one of my patients called me up and said, I have to cancel my appointment. And I had a funny intuition that there was something fishy. So I asked my patient, why are you canceling? And they said, oh, I got an appointment with my optometrist and they gave me only one option. They gave me your time. So I figured you wouldn't mind, and I took the optometrist appointment. And I said, this is our regular time, our weekly appointment that I have reserved for you. You have just treated me like I'm the path of least resistance, and that's not okay. If you want to see me, you have to be respectful. So the patient said, hold on a second. They called me back a few minutes later and they said, yep, I switched my appointment with the optometrist. And then after that, they never disrespected me again. They never played around with our time. They thought that my kindness was niceness, and they thought that they could treat me in a way that was less than respectful. So we can be a kind person, and some people can misunderstand and mistake our kindness for niceness. But as soon as we set that limit, as soon as we stand up and say, no, don't treat me that way, then the other people will recognize, this is not a nice person, this is a kind person, and they're not going to put up with disrespect. So, of course we should be kind. Of course we should be compassionate. Of course we should be generous and understanding and thoughtful and sensitive and giving. But we can also have a backbone. We can also set limits, have good boundaries, and say no to things that don't work for us. And we can also ask for what we need and demand respect and demand dignity, because those are things that we deserve. So there's no contradiction between being kind and being strong. That's what ruthless compassion is all about. Ruthless compassion is about being a loving person, but a person who is also loving toward themselves and will not tolerate any disrespect or mistreatment. So go ahead and be kind. And if you're finding that you're being nice, then look inside and ask yourself, why do I need to please? Why am I looking to other people for my own sense of self? And try to work on yourself so that you have self-love rather than depending on everyone else for your self-esteem. Because as long as you're depending on everyone else for your self-esteem, you are going to be perceived as weak, you are going to be disrespected, and most likely you're going to be taken advantage of, because certain unscrupulous individuals will recognize that you're a people pleaser and they will make sure to exploit your vulnerabilities. Whereas if you are kind, those kinds of people tend to leave you alone because they recognize that you are not someone to be trifled with. So you can be kind, you can be strong, you can be fierce, you can have fantastic boundaries, and you can still be a great person doing a lot for others. In fact, when you are kind, you have more energy to give because you are not depleted by overdoing it. And when you are kind, you have more energy to give because you are not exhausted by constantly seeking approval. So kind people can actually do more for others while also preserving their energy and taking good care of themselves. So being kind is a win-win because we have more to offer and we are also always making sure to take care of ourselves. Whereas being nice, people become exhausted and they become resentful because they're doing so much to please, and often they're met with exploitation or disrespect rather than the love and approval they're seeking. So I recommend to everyone, be kind, be loving, be compassionate, understanding, and thoughtful, be sensitive and generous, but love and care for yourself equally. And that way you will always have enough energy for yourself and you will always have enough energy for others as well. I'm Dr. Marcia Sirota, talking about why it is important to be kind, but maybe not so much to be nice.